Hey guys, boat time again, and I wanted to do this segment of the video because of some stuff I'm going to show you. Some of this stuff is affected by decisions. Some of this stuff is affected by outside factors that you really can't control. But this whole segment is going to be about the ridiculous behaviors when you're either on the road or on the water. So let's get after that. So one of the first clips is the local sheriff here was responding to I guess in this case it became a hazardous driving situation. Found out the gentleman left a domestic violence situation and had been drinking. So right there, that was the decision-making factor you can affect, right? You can change that. Anyway, after going, 30 miles I think it was, at 80 miles an hour at various times, he ended up crashing. The canine dog bit into him and they arrested him. So you can try to get away, but they're still going to get you. Now on these other clips, there's two of these, one after the other. And this is partially driver error and partially the effects of the current here. And this is one of the things that we talk about when we talk about boating in Southwest Florida. If you're not from this area, because currents can greatly affect a lot of what you do. Now, I happen to be in a marina. Currents don't affect that marina very much at all. The wind will affect it. If I'm docking, I'll either get pushed up against the dock or pushed away from it. But these two folks in particular, the current was pushing them and they were trying to adjust. There was a boat full of people in both cases and nobody knew what to do. They almost were stuck underneath the bridge, but thankfully they found their way out. But this could have been a rental situation. If you're new to boating and you're renting a boat, you just got to pay very close attention to this stuff. It's real. Sandbars, same thing. You should have a depth finder that has a chart plotter on it, and they should have some breadcrumbs that have been left by other people that have gone out. What that'll help you do is understand where the sandbars are. And one of the other huge tips I'll give you, we started doing this, especially this last year, checking the tides before we start rolling out. I want to know, is the tide going up? Is it coming down? If I get myself into some skinny water, is it going to get skinnier or is it going to get deeper? So make sure you understand that before you roll into a potentially shallow area. But that's my tip that I'll give you on that. Outside of that, keep your head on a swivel. There's a lot of people out here that are new to boating or, like I said, renting boats. Just always be aware of what's around you. There are some really ridiculous people. In fact, here's another one that was there. This gentleman decided he didn't care if there was manatees in the inlet pass, and he's rolling through at a higher speed, number one, and right over the path where these manatees were playing. Absolutely ridiculous. Another one. This is another one. I can't figure this one out. If it happened to be a rental situation, but there's a child on an older gentleman's lap driving the boat, and they went flying by these other boats and clearly it looked like an intercoastal canal, and kept going at that speed under the bridge. Now, you need to know also, with bridges, within 100 feet on either side of the bridge, you need to be at minimum wake. So you got to get that thing all the way down to 5 miles an hour or less, and they will snag you and fine you if you're faster than that. But some people just really don't give a crap. It's terrible. But these are just some examples that I've witnessed recently, and I wanted to share them in this part of the video because we haven't been on the water for a while, and I was out today, and as you can see, let me flip this around for you. It is absolutely stunning. And there's all the fishermen that are there for the tarpon. I'll show you real quick what happened with that. We were passing through there as we came out, and a gentleman had a tarpon on, and it was a big boy. And we had the blessing of being able to watch him pull it in, or at least unhook him. He had it up to the boat. Didn't even bother taking him out, because you're really not supposed to. You're supposed to keep these fish in the water. Taking them out can actually harm them. So if you're one of those people that wants to pull it out to take pictures with it, maybe you need to jump in and take pictures with it. All right, so that's enough for me. We're going to move on to another subject. Talk to you soon. Do you know how many times I've been told by other people that I should probably not talk about some of the things I talk about. Well, I talk about them for one reason. Nobody else is talking about them. So every single example I give you of something, I don't care if it's positive or negative. It's what the truth is. It's the reality. So if you move here, I don't want there to be any surprises. I'm trying to give you every insight that I know of so that you're going to be like, oh, yeah, Craig told us about that. That's something we got to pay attention to. That's the whole purpose behind every single one of these stories. So if you've got something that you are wondering about the area that you haven't been told by anybody else, ask me. I will tell you. Comment down below. I'll make sure I talk about it. And this is why we tell you, do not live at the end of a canal, because stuff will collect and it'll eventually turn stinky. Look at all this. Just nasty stuff. You can get garbage down here. If you're going to be on the water, one of the first things you need to do as soon as you get on the boat or before you even leave the house, whatever it is, put your sunscreen on. I can see peripherally I kind of missed a spot, so make sure you rub it in enough, but put your sunscreen on. We came out yesterday, got burnt up a little bit, not too terribly, but after having that done the other day, you think I'd learn, right? Doctor just cut some stuff off of me again. So wear your sun protection so you don't need to get cut up. Okay, I don't know if whoever watched last week's video, I kind of told you about the about those school speed limit signs and how it's going to affect you and all that. And a couple things I found out that you need to know. And I found this out because I happened to get my own warning. I'm usually pretty good about watching these signs, and I didn't see any yellow flashing lights. Well, guess what? The yellow flashing light is for the school time in which the kids are arriving and leaving, and it's 20 miles an hour. That's what the flashing light's about. And when it's not, there's usually if they aren't flashing, there's another speed limit sign posted, either 35 or 45 miles an hour. And in my case, I happened to be going a little faster than the 45 that was there, so that told me that, okay, it wasn't during the flashing time. But if school is in session, so anytime between the school hours, if you go through there over the speed limit by 10 miles an hour or more, you will get a ticket, a citation. This particular time I got a warning because it's within 30 days of them enacting this new policy, but you need to pay close attention to that or you will also receive your own citation. I wanted to hit a couple more of the traffic or vehicle issues that we've run into here recently. This particular gentleman apparently wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to how he puts his boat into the water. So every part of his vehicle and boat ended up in the water. This is one of the reasons why I put my boat into a high and dry, because I don't want to deal with this. Not saying I couldn't do it, just don't want to have it happen on an off chance. Another thing you'll see here, people just don't pay attention. If you get stuck at a light, do not sit in the middle of the intersection. Keep going. People will stop. They've got brakes. But sitting in the middle of the traffic and blocking everything up and making it even worse, you're begging for an accident to happen. Speaking of accidents, one of the things that one of the local police departments, this is actually up in Lakeland area, they were able to capture numerous close calls at traffic lights. People just running lights, not paying attention, on the phone, texting, whatever they're doing. But there were just dozens of these near miss accidents all within the same town. So you can imagine, this is a small town. Lakeland is not that big. So you put that into a different scope of a large city and all the traffic that goes through, you can see why Florida has so many accidents. That's why our auto insurance is higher. And the only way we're going to make that go down is if you stop being distracted and drive with your head on the swivel. Florida is way too hot, or to leave your dog in the car. And that's why this particular situation, I think this was a deputy that actually broke this window to get this dog out of this hot car. So please, if you have animals, leave them at home. They're better off there than they are coming with you. Aside from that, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the responsibilities and duties of us as agents. And one of the things that we do, a lot of people sit there and say, well, what do you guys actually do? Obviously, we get you into homes. We help you evaluate homes. We'll suggest other homes that might match up similarly. But one of the things, once you start identifying homes, Then you have to figure out the details. So this morning I was asked to look up 2 homes for Chris and Tiffany, and we had found out by making phone calls, making contacts, getting information. One was in a flood zone that had no flood insurance, so that means they couldn't transfer it. That's not in their wheelhouse. They can't take on a brand new policy because the policies are very expensive in that area. The other thing that happened on the second home is when I called that agent, they're taking it off the market because it had termites in the attic. Now, again, these are random things that you would never know, and if you don't bother to take the time to call the other agents to get a little bit of information, you could be setting yourself up for failure. So if you want somebody that's going to cross the T's and dot the I's and make sure that everything gets done, give us a call. We'll help you out. We've been doing this. I've been into this now for 21 years. So I kind of know what I'm doing, and I'd like to keep you from getting yourself into these situations. So make sure you reach out. All right, you know how I feel about waterfront places. Cape Coral is obviously number 1. Number 2, I've told you before, is Punta Gorda, just because of the accessibility. Pricing is going to be a little bit better than, say, Fort Myers, Naples, places like that. But the one thing you need to be aware of is Punta Gorda was once a small kind of retirement town, historic. Well, they just approved to put in almost 1,000 units just south of the city with the 2 different communities that are coming in. They've also approved another one out east by Babcock. Whoa, see this? Is this 1 foot? Anyway, they've approved all these new projects. Burn Store Road is where 2 of them come off of. And for all those people that thought you were going to go to a sleepy town of Punta Gorda, I don't think it's going to be sleeping too much longer. Now, the one drawback they have, if there's anything I can say, is once you get up to the interchange of where Jones Loop 41 intersect, it's right before I-75. Well, I-75 and US 41 are the only 2 roads that take you up and through Punta Gorda. Now, once you get up in it, there'll be some side roads to deal with. Akiesta, I think, is one of the roads, but here's the problem. If you don't know these roads, you're going to find out real quick. If you take that road going west off of US 41, most times of the day, you're going to be stacked up in traffic because there's a 4-way stop sign. Are you kidding me? One of your busiest intersections to the west of the city is still a 4-way stop. So I would encourage you, keep going up 41, hit one of the side roads. Henry has been a really good one for me. That lets me get over to Fisherman's Village and places like that. But just be aware, travel within the city isn't always the easiest. Another thing I wanted to talk about real quick was, and this has come up recently with, you remember the name Ted and Lisa, right? So they are in the process of, they just went through their inspection, found out everything's fine because, they're going to do some remodeling. Some of the small issues weren't really a big deal for them. But one thing that came up is that there's no storm protection on a number of the windows and one of the sets of sliders. So we aren't going to get the full insurance credits. And trust me, if you're going to live on the water, you want all the credits you can get. They're already getting the transfer of the flood insurance, but the hazard is where the storm protection comes in. So you've got a couple options. First option is do nothing, which means you're going to get the most expensive insurance. Another one is have metal or plastic panels put up. And these panels, the plastic panels are actually like I don't want to say a PVC, but they're a clear material. They're plenty durable for the storms, and it lets light in still. So that's one of the reasons why people do that. There's another set of protection that is like a Kevlar material. It's a fabric that you can fold up once you take it down, but you measure the opening, they'll give you the clips and the material. You can just install it yourself if you want to, or have somebody else do it. That will cover you. That Kevlar material is more than functional for this purpose, and it'll give you the credit you need. If that doesn't work for you, you can get accordion shutters. Accordions basically stack up on each side of the opening, and whenever you need them, you pull them together in the center, twist a knob. You can lock it if you want to as well, but you really don't need to. So that's another way to combat that. Obviously, impact-resistant windows. I'm sorry, that's number 1. I would absolutely have the windows and doors. It was my decision. Another one would be the roll-down electric fabric panels, or it can actually be some of that PVC material. Again, it stacks up, but it rolls up inside the holder for it over top of the lanai openings, and in between the posts. And when you need them for storms, you push a button or you get the pole to crank it down. It locks down. You have all your stuff safe underneath your lanai, so you don't have to move it in the garage or put it in the back of a pickup truck and put that in the garage. So it keeps your stuff safe, keeps the peace of mind for you. When you are looking for a property in any area, doesn't matter. I mean Florida specifically because we know the rules here. Each state's a little bit different when it comes to how you do transactions, but I'm going to give you one piece of advice. Do not go directly to the listing agent to do a transaction. And I'm going to tell you why. You think that you're going to get a better deal going through the listing agent, right? Well, they have control of the listing. They can take it off. They can get the price you want, all that kind of stuff, right? Makes sense to me. I think so too. Here's the one thing you don't understand. In order for a listing agent to help you buy a home, they have to become what's called a transaction broker. Now, a transaction broker, do you want to know the big difference between that and your individual agent that started with you, that was giving you fiduciary duties and making sure you knew everything? A transaction broker only is interested in getting the transaction done. Limited services on both sides, just have to deal honestly and fairly. That's the only real caveat there. However, when it comes to negotiations, I don't know about you, but if I was like going to court or something, I probably wouldn't use the same attorney as my opposition. And just like if I go to buy a car, I mean, I want somebody on my side, right? Well, we never have that, do we? We have to do it for ourselves. But there's another side. See, in real estate, you have a choice. You can take somebody with you to fight for you on your side. That's what you want. You want your own agent to fight for you. Don't settle for this crap of going to a listing agent thinking you're going to get a better deal, because it does not happen. Now, can you occasionally have it happen? Absolutely. But in most cases, you were not the first client. They had a client before you. So where do you think that loyalty really is? Just something to think about. Okay, day two on the water. Day two on the water. I have a little bit more I want to share with you. We talked about animals last week, some of the things that are going on. And we traditionally try to put ourselves in places where the rear of the home is something that is enjoyable for us to hang out, right? And water's number one. Number two would be like vegetation, right? A preserve, something like that. Well, I just found a reason why you might not want to preserve in Cape Coral. Some folks the other evening reported that there were about 9 feral hogs that dug up their lawn. Now you're thinking, well, what do you mean dug up their lawn? Well, they go after the bugs and stuff that are under the lawn. They dig it all up with their snouts and their tusks. And in this case, it was thousands of dollars worth of sod to replace that these pigs tore up. And the folks lived on a preserve. Again, they thought it'd be quiet. They thought it'd be nice to look at. Yeah, sure, you might see wildlife once in a while, but are they really going to bother us? Well, now it's becoming a financial bother. Another financial problem related to animals are iguanas. Yes, iguanas are invasive, number one. So they're legal to hunt. They're legal to eliminate. I would say just, do it as humanely as possible if you do. But what these things did the other day is they're apparently taking over. I thought I heard it was an old bank, but what they did is they made all the bricks on the exterior of the home fall off. And then they showed just dozens of these things all over the buildings. And they're thinking that there could be hundreds of these things inside this building. The reason I'm bringing this up is they also have been known to get behind your seawall. If they get behind the seawall and they're digging holes there, they can break down that infrastructure of your seawall. It can literally cause it to break apart prematurely. And that's just going to cost you more money, right? So be aware if you see iguanas all over the place. They're usually going to be around water anyway. They seem to love water. They swim very well, I will say that. But if you're noticing them hanging around your house, hanging around your seawall, you might want to do some investigating, see if there's any holes that are next to the seawall. And if there are, I would probably get a trapper or somebody like that to take care of it. I'm not really the hunter to be able to do that stuff. And I don't really like killing animals, if I'm telling the truth. All right, so that's it for this week's show. If you need any more information that you weren't able to get from the video, go ahead and check out one of these other videos. And if you have any questions, you've got to do what everyone else is doing. Call, text, email.
do a Zoom call, check our app, whatever it is that we can do to help, because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast.